Hi, I'm Ann Coulter. Welcome to my Substack. I'm really, really excited to have Professor Amy Wax from University of Pennsylvania. She is all over the news. I'm sure you've heard about how she's being persecuted. It would have been so much easier if you were only applying to be a professor these days. They simply wouldn't hire you, Professor Wax. I do want
Correct.
to quickly mention, I won't get it all right, but I'll list it on the Substack. Your background is just unbelievable. Yale and was it Harvard Medical School, and then you went to a top residency and you practiced, what was it,
Neurology.
brain neurology, and then went to law school and decided you wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't realize you worked in the Solicitor General's office. I had worked in the Justice Department after my first year of law school, and it all came back to me. I now remember I heard of you. You were such a star. Everybody knew your name from the SG's office. So
Well,
welcome, Amy Wax.
that was probably because at the time I was there, which was under Reagan and Bush, which was a great time to be there, there were very few women in the office. I was one of the only full-fledged assistants of the SG's office, female ones for a couple of years. Then someone else came, a woman who's now a professor at Harvard. But we were few and far between. But it didn't matter because it was a wonderful place to work. The people there were top drawer, and there was a lot of solidarity and collegiality, and it was the best years of my life, really.
Yes, it sounds like a lot of fun if you're very smart and can do it. And for non-lawyers, being in the SG's office is about the coolest thing you can do. That means you argue cases before the Supreme Court on behalf of the United States. Although I noticed listening to the transgender argument recently, I think standards have fallen a little bit. Particularly
Well,
when I demanded some of my doctor friends listen to just the government's opening statement. And I've just gotten blistering texts back saying, she's lying, this is absolutely not true, lying, lying, lying. Anyway, you are very much in the news. There's been yet another movement by University of Pennsylvania to destroy you, which I think is really, I mean, it's obviously important in its own right. This is a matter of free speech. But I've just been struck recently by how completely brainwashed even conservatives are on the diversity business. And the fact that they can come after you, like you're Adolf Hitler for stating things that are one, speech, number two, opinion, number three, factually true, and number four, often things that you never even said that are just being
well,
made up
yes.
out of whole cloth. Oh my gosh, you step outside of this tiny and really not very popular belief in diversity and DEI, and they will come down on you with a sledgehammer. So describe what's going on, and there are a few particular areas I want to get to.
Okay, well, I mean, the saga is long and has twists and turns, so I don't want to use up too much time. But basically, what I'll say is that for years, they have been after me for statements, primarily, I mean, really almost exclusively, that I have made outside the classroom, even outside of school, so-called extramural statements, which according to the American Association of University Professors, I mean statements going back to 1915, are fully protected. Like any other citizen, a professor can opine outside of school on all sorts of issues, but in my case, my dean, former dean, decided that those rules didn't apply anymore, and that my statements on all sorts of topics, immigration, race, affirmative action, hot button issues like that, gender, were discriminatory. That's just a complete abuse, of course, of the term discriminatory, but never mind. Were a behavioral violation, were unprofessional, on and on and on. He got the faculty senate committee that was appointed and cherry-picked to agree with him. And a sanction against me became final in September after much negotiation and wrangling and many years of torment, shall we say. As I tell my students, there's a reason they call it a culture war. In a war, people get hurt. But finally, a sanction, a year's suspension, whatever that means. They've never done that to a tenured professor before. Half pay for that year, and no more summer money. Now, summer money is technically discretionary research funds, but it's pretty automatic, and it's a quarter of my salary. So when you add it up, if I was going to stay for another 8 years or so, which I was planning on, I'm only 71, it would be close to $500,000 that they have picked my pocket of, which is substantial money. That is a lot of money. Certainly it is to me. And then stripping me of my chaired professorship, requiring that I say every time I speak that I'm not speaking for Penn. Well, Ann, if you think I'm speaking for Penn, you are a retard, to use one of those many terms that the left has banned. So I don't even bother to do that. And other suggestions like that they move me physically out of the building because I'm dangerous, other silliness. But for the convenience of the students, because I'm teaching these courses this year, my sanction doesn't start until July of 2025. Now, even though I am a menace to society and I threaten the safety of the students every single day, what do you know? I'm teaching a full course load. I'm in the building. I'm interacting with students. I don't know. None of this makes a lot of sense. Now, in the latest sort of little insult, shall we say, my dean, whose name is Sophia Lee, new dean, who is your typical sort of administrative bureaucratic automaton, she canceled the last class of my conservative thought seminar this semester. Why? She kicked it out of the law school because I have Jared Taylor as a guest talking about white identity politics, essentially, which is, part of conservatism, whether we like it or not. And vague hand waving. Why did she kick it out? Security reasons. Well, of course, whose responsibility is to ensure security and that my class is not disrupted?
No, it is the classic heckler's veto. It's not like people are going to come storming out of a seminar with the elegant and dignified Jared Taylor and let's beat up minorities. No.
Right.
About people protesting the speaker you're having. And one quick point I wanted to make on I wanted to ask you who else is in your conservative thought class, so everyone watching can read them all. But Jared Taylor and Peter Brimelow, I have noticed the New York Times, in their style book, must be described as white nationalists, I believe, maybe white supremacists.
Absolutely white supremacists.
Okay, now they deny
white
this.
supremacists.
So a man can say, I'm a woman.
And that's not extreme.
Must bow down and acknowledge it. But no matter how many times Jared Taylor and Peter Brimelow, it doesn't even have anything to do with white people. It has to do with immigration. He runs VDARE and has been shut down now by Letitia James.
Of course.
But it's about immigration. It's Donald Trump's position on immigration. He has said a million times, I'm not a white supremacist. This has nothing to do with white people. It's about being anti-immigration. And I'm anti-immigration. So is Trump. So is apparently more than half the country based on the last election. But they call them both white supremacists. And there's nothing they can do because they're public figures. But man, the things you said are at least true.
Well, the fact that they're true doesn't mean a damn thing. Okay? I mean, they do not care that they're true. They are behavioral violations. They are inequitably targeted disrespect. That's the phrase they use, a totally made up phrase, whatever the hell it means, right? They are extreme. They're discriminatory. I mean, these labels get thrown around. White supremacist. I mean, what the hell does that mean? They can't even define it. Frankly, they have no idea what Jared Taylor has to say, what positions he stands for, what he's written. Same for Peter Brimelow, no idea. They're 100% completely ignorant. All they know is that they're supposed to exclude these people, cancel these people, and disapprove of these people. And that's all that they know. And if you asked my dean, for example, point blank, what are Jared Taylor's positions on ethno-nationalism, on, white rights, on anything, on any issue at all, on civil rights laws, on Jim Crow, we could go down a list. She would not be able to answer the question. And she is completely unabashed about that. I mean, you would think that a law professor, the head of a top 10 law school, would be ashamed of not knowing the answers to those questions. No shame whatsoever.
You can watch complete episodes of Unsafe with Ann Coulter by subscribing to anncoulter.substack.com. That's anncoulter.substack.com. You can also listen to complete episodes for free at Ricochet.com. Choose Unsafe from the pull-down menu at the top of the page. That's Ricochet.com, your home for civil center right conversation on the web.